The cabin hummed with the ordinary noise of travel. A child tapping his tray, an elderly man rustling a newspaper, soft laughter from the row ahead. She sat in row 17, aisle seat, her fingers curled loosely around a notebook she hadn't yet opened. To anyone else, she was just another passenger. Then it happened. A sharp jolt snapped cups from tray tables, coffee splashing across shirts. Gasps shot through the cabin as the overhead lights flickered once, twice, then died. A low, grinding groan shook the fuselage, followed by something worse, silence. The engines had gone quiet. Too quiet. For a heartbeat, the world seemed suspended. Then chaos rushed in. Flight attendants darted down the aisle, their practiced calm cracking at the edges. A woman clutched her husband's arm, whispering a prayer. A baby's cry tore through the thickening fear. Row 17 stayed still. Her eyes moved quickly, calculating, the rhythm of her breathing steady against the rising panic. The man across from her fumbled for his phone, no signal. Someone shouted, "What's happening?" The air felt thinner, heavier. A murmur of dread rolled through the passengers, and no one, not even the crew, spoke loud enough to cut it. That was the moment she stood. One smooth motion, the notebook sliding onto her seat as if it had never mattered. She turned to the crowd, her voice carrying in a way no one expected, clear and firm, as if she had been waiting for this second all her life. "Everyone, stay calm. Listen to me." Heads turned. Fearful eyes locked onto her. Strangers desperate for hope, crew too shaken to lead. In row 17, she wasn't just a passenger anymore. She was the silence breaker. The one who took control. All eyes were on her now, as if the very sound of her voice had stitched a fragile thread between fear and survival. She didn't flinch under the weight of it. Her gaze swept the cabin, quick and precise, like she had walked through this exact nightmare in her mind before. A man in the back began shouting about oxygen. She cut through his panic with firm clarity. "You, row 22, check the masks, make sure they're untangled. You, by the exit, hold steady until I say." People moved, not because they trusted her yet, but because she left no room for hesitation. The flight attendants, normally the anchors of calm, hovered frozen, wide-eyed, as if waiting for someone braver to lead. She nodded at one of them, voice softened but still commanding. "Help me keep the aisle clear. We'll need space if we descend." It was enough. The attendant straightened, breathed deep, and followed. Passengers whispered, "Who is she? How does she know this?" Even as the plane trembled, her steadiness spread like oxygen itself. The smallest gestures mattered. She bent down to reassure a terrified boy clutching his stuffed bear, telling him, "You're safe. You're brave." The boy's tears slowed, and his mother mouthed thank you with trembling lips. Near the middle of the cabin, a man in a tailored suit watched with more than curiosity. He was a CEO, used to being in charge, but tonight he found himself humbled. Beside him, his young daughter tugged at his hand, her wide eyes fixed on the woman in row 17. "Daddy," she whispered, barely audible through the hum of panic, "she should start forever." The father blinked, struck not by fear now but by realization. Leadership, courage, even love, sometimes appeared where you least expected. And tonight, it was in row 17. The roar of the engines returned in a sudden surge, rattling the windows, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, the passengers let out a collective gasp of relief. The pilots' voices cracked through the intercom, strained but steady, assuring everyone they were regaining control. But no one's eyes were on the cockpit. They were on her. The woman from row 17 still stood in the aisle, posture firm, voice calm, like she had carried them all through the storm. She guided the attendants to double-check belts, soothed trembling hands, and reminded the cabin that it wasn't over until they were safely on the ground. The descent was rough, every dip pulling gasps from weary throats, but when the wheels finally struck the runway, bouncing once before gripping hard, the cabin erupted into applause and sobs. Strangers hugged. Tears spilled freely. Relief flooded every face. She exhaled slowly, her first moment of release, before quietly stepping back into her seat, almost as if she wanted to disappear again. But the passengers wouldn't let her. They reached out to thank her, voices thick with gratitude. "You saved us," someone whispered. She only shook her head, a faint smile, as if she had simply done what anyone should. Through the crowd stepped the man in the suit, The CEO, his daughter's small hand locked in his. The girl let go, skipping toward the woman, her innocence untarnished by fear. She looked up with wide, earnest eyes and asked the question that silenced the world around them, "Can you start forever with us?" The woman's breath caught. The father, humbled, nodded once, his gaze heavy with meaning. The engines cooled behind them, but a different journey had already begun.